In your arms so tight, you let me know everything's alright. I'm hooked on a feeling.
He crushed it.
I'm high on
It's a grand slam.
that you're in love with me.
I'm telling you, it's time to party.
Lips as sweet as candy.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the SoxHub podcast, episode 7, home of the third place, one game out of a wild card spot, Boston Red Sox. I am your host, Brandon McAlery, and alongside me is the one, the only, the zesty lefty slinger himself, Trotty Too Hottie, a.k.a. Mac Trotta. How you doing?
You know how it be, Mac. Living the dream, running at God's speed. How about yourself, buddy? Oh!
You know it, baby. Joely Rodriguez has been DFA'd by the Boston Red Sox.
Let's freaking go, baby! This is exciting news. This whole entire horn thing. Oh my God, very fitting for this. Where did this come from?
The Boston Bruins goal horn in honor of them being in the playoffs right now. But you know what? We needed something to drive it up, and I felt not even pump it up was good enough for that. I really needed to set the tone because the end of Joely Rodriguez is done. DFA'd, hepatitis, see you later, gone forever, Joely Rodriguez.
It's about gosh darn time, Mac. Let me tell you, man. This guy has lost multiple games for us this year. He's very home run prone, and I don't know about you, but I'm pumped that I don't have to deal with looking at that purple headband under that Red Sox hat ever again.
I can't wait. I'm actually curious, like, before I completely shit on the purple headband, what it means. Like, maybe there's some meaning behind it, but at the same time, too, like, if you're going to wear a headband, you got to do it right. Like, you got to go out there and be able to get the job done on the mound. And interesting little tidbit for you here on Joely. Last season, 11 games with the Red Sox, 11 innings pitched, and a 6.55 ERA. This year with the Red Sox, 11 innings pitched, 11 games with the Sox, and a 6.55 ERA.
Ooh, pretty sustainable.
Not good.
Yeah,
Not
sustainably
good.
bad. He almost just died.
Yep. For the listeners at home, we are watching the Cubs game live right now. We're in the bottom of the 7th with the Sox up 4-1. And whoever's in for the Cubs, Palencia, never heard him, is throwing 100-mile-hour darts at our players. Anywho, so Joely's DFA'd. He's gone. The end of an era in Red Sox. Thank God. It probably went on for 20 innings pitched longer than it should have. It was bad.
100%. Time to win baseball games now, baby. Now we go.
Exactly. And in his place, forgive me for the pronunciation here, but the Red Sox have called Naoki Iwasawa, who was a Japanese pitcher who got signed by the Tampa Bay Rays. He's a 30-year-old technical relief pitcher. But he got signed by the Rays, got cut in spring training. Red Sox ended up getting him from the Rays for cash considerations, aka $50K. And down in AAA right now, I mean, he's done an okay job and probably what the Sox need. He's gone 15 innings pitched with a 4.8 ERA, 4 walks to 17 strikeouts, 1.26 whip, 15 hits, and 2 home runs allowed. So not terrible. I mean, he's a perfect guy to hopefully come up here and give you 4 or 5 innings in a start.
Yeah. I'm just glad Masa Yoshida's finally got a friend.
Amen. That can actually speak his language with him. Like, we might actually see them in the circle more dancing and doing their thing.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
That's what I'm saying. Iwasawa's fastball sits 90 to 91. It does have a ton of arm side run, mid to high 80 split finger, and an 86, 88 mile hour cutter with a 70 to 82 mile hour curveball. He does mix velocities a lot with that. So like he'll start off hitters earlier with a slower curveball and then put a little bit more bite to it as it goes on. Those a slider 78 to 84. It has a much more distinctive shape than his curveball. And a mid 80s show me change. And all this information is brought to SoxProspects.com. So,
This guy
long
sounds
story
like he
short,
could get us some good outs. Give us some good
that's what I'm
innings.
hoping for. I mean, he was a successful pitcher in Japan, obviously, and I mean, if the Rays wanted to sign him, there had to be something there. And you put him into, Professor Bailey's laboratory, and God knows what we're going to cook up right now.
Absolutely.
Any other vibe checks for you before I continue going on with some of the stuff here?
Yeah, if you want to sit back and relax a little bit, listeners,
Ooh.
we got some positivity. In the last 7 days, we've played 6 games. The 7th is actively being played at Fenway Park as we record. The Red Sox have a 3-3 record. That's not too positive, but everything I'm going to break down here moving forward will be trust. Pitching-wise, that whole good start, well, it's sustainable. We got a 2.77 in the last 7 days. 1.17 whip, 238 batting average against. That totals in 52 innings pitched for the pitching staff. We have 33 Ks in that time, 16 walks, 45 hits, and we've only given up 3 home runs in 6 games. I'll take that. Half a home run a game. Easy math. Let's flip it and go offensive here. Okay? The boys have been batting .312 as a squad here in the last 6 games. 365 OBP, 486 slug, 851 OPS as a team. 68 hits in 6 games.
Wow.
God darn. 37 runs, 15 doubles, a trip, 7 dingos, 36 RBIs.
I'm sorry, how many?
Not 36
That.
in 6 games.
Huh.
36 divided by 6 for you listeners at home is indeed 6 runs
You guessed it.
per game on average. Next, 61 strikeouts in 6 games. That's not so bright, but that's okay. I'll take that with this production outside of that. 13 walks and 5 stolen bases. I would expect that stolen base total to be higher, but when you hit 15 doubles, 7 home runs, and a triple in 6 games, it's going to be tough to steal bases. Being a little too productive. That's a little addition with the positivity of Joely Rodriguez getting shipped out of town. But goddamn, the boys are rolling on paper and stat columns. Now they just got to keep it rolling and find a way to get it rolling in the win columns. Because, man, at the end of the day, that's all that really matters.
Amen.
But looking at it, being serious, looking at these trends, looking at it from a month sample of all of April and those couple of days at the end of March for opening day, and you also break it down to just 7-day sample sizes, this is sustainable right now on the pitching side. And the offense has gotten better and better throughout the course of the year so far.
Well, to the point of pitching, though, like everybody's asked the question, is this sustainable, what the Red Sox are doing? And I mean, we're a month into this now. Like, it's not like we are just, like 2 weeks in and we're still discussing this. Like, we're a full month into what we're seeing. Obviously, there's going to be some regression. But, like, I don't think we're looking at, a Dave Bush-style pitching staff here anymore.
Absolutely not. These guys are here, and they're bought into what Andrew Bailey is doing. And they look like they're having fun, and they're being loose while they're doing it.
I think that's the biggest thing, having fun.
Absolutely. They're all in each other's corner, having each other's back, too, and it's noticeable. Like, obviously, every team's going to have that, but I just think it's a different vibe with this group in Boston.
Something tells me that it goes to what you just said, that they are bought into Andrew Bailey and probably Craig Breslow as well. I'm sure he has just as much to do with this as Bailey does. But it makes me believe that they didn't buy into Dave Bush, and Dave Bush probably didn't buy into them either. Like, it makes me feel like it was probably Dave Bush's way or the highway, where, like, I think Bailey probably gives these kids a little bit more freedom to do this. I mean, Alex Cora said it during tonight's game, is that, like, a lot of these dudes have a lot more innings under their belts compared to last year. Obviously, like last year was a year to kind of dip their toe in, see how the water feels and whatnot. This year they did that. Now we're throwing them in the deep end and just kind of letting them ride, and I love that.
Yeah, so do I. And again, it shows the confidence that they have in their homegrown talent because most of these guys are
I told you, man, Chris Martin is not going to be the
Fox.
same this year. His age is going to show, man.
Tie ball game.
Yeah, for those of you listening, tie ball game in the bottom of the seventh here. Bottom of the seventh, I think. Yeah, 4-4. Chris Martin just let up a 3-run home run to dead center. That's a deep fly ball to center field.
Smell you. That's unfortunate. But hey, on a positive, we'll be all right.
We'll be all right.
Baseball left to be had in this game.
Oh, yeah. I'm not worried. Top of the eighth. I lied. It wasn't bottom. That was a dumb point to bring up. But yeah, I think that with Dave Bush, players probably weren't as bought into the system as they clearly are. Andrew Bailey's. And it started from the top with Craig bringing in Bailey, and then those two just figuring shit out pretty much on the floor to watch. So long story short, it's not a small sample size anymore. Like, this is something that they're doing, and it clearly is sustainable to a certain extent. Again, obviously we're due for some regression, but
yeah, definitely. Whenever you normally bring in a guy that has a lot of experience, a lot of clout, not only as a pitching coach or a coach, but as a player as well, been there, done that at this stage in the professional level with these professional guys. Good gracious, that's such a good recipe. And another thing, he ain't an old geezer. He's like, looks like he can still go out there and shove a 1, 2, 3 out of the pen for us.
I'm not gonna lie, he gives hot dad
very
vibes.
Relatable. Oh yeah, big time. He probably goes out, gets some free beverages from the mothers that are out there hating their lives, trying to run away from their husbands, trying to get away from that hecticness. But yeah, and he's all about it too. You know, hey, calm down, Ma. Calm down, Ma. I'll be with you in a minute. I gotta go fix this new Japanese imports fastball. I don't like it. It's too straight. But I'll call you after.
Actually,
don't you worry.
It does have a ton of arm side run. It's really not straight.
Not good enough.
Not in Professor Bailey's laboratory.
No. Oh my God! Look at this asshole. Look at Morel. Do you see this guy?
Yeah. What about him?
Do you see his eye black?
No.
Is this the frickin' fair? He looks like he has whiskers painted on him.
No, sometimes grown men want to act like kids. I mean, they are grown men playing a kid's game.
Dude.
Nobody gave Bryce Harper shit when he would come down with it.
That's not this. Like 2 lines right here. It looks like he is trying to be a cat.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Why I'm going off about this, with this being a swag thing. You know what I've been seeing a lot of lately that just really puts a pain in the back of my neck? You see a couple of these pro guys the last couple years yanking up these pants to make them like those 5-inch seam shorts that you see. And above the knee, like at the center thigh, it just,
like
enough is enough. Yeah, like it looks ridiculous. I'm starting to see little kids do it now, like little kids, and it's just as ridiculous, man. Wear it the right way.
I disagree with you on this. And the only reason I say it is I feel like this is like an old head take, because I remember playing baseball and you pretty much wore your socks high when you were a kid. Like that was like, they only made the pants that had the elastic things around your legs. You know what I mean? So you only wore your socks high. And I remember telling my dad one day, because I saw Manny Ramirez and how he wore his pants really low and baggy, like long. I was like, I need to find a pair of those. Like, that's what I want to wear, and never could. And so like for the longest time, high socks was like the norm of baseball. And then the long pants obviously came in. Now, granted, in the majors versus when you're younger, it's different. They've been wearing the long pants for years, obviously. But those loose, unhemmed pants, that was a thing that I'm sure old head people didn't like as well. They either wanted the tall socks or the hemmed pants at the bottom. Where now we're hitting an age where we grew up with wearing pants a certain way. there's a new style, a new fashion, like baseball's changing. We just got to adapt with it. You know what I mean? Just got to adapt.
All
Like,
right,
how do you feel about the one that's like 5 inches up that they pull up, like Bryce Harper style, where like stirrups underneath you could see?
like they're right above the ankle, like where like
Yeah,
high
yeah,
Nike
yeah,
socks would be. Yeah, I don't
yeah.
mind that at all. Don't mind
So
that.
what's the difference
That's old
between
schoolish.
that and just wearing
That's
wearing them
old
high?
schoolish. You look obnoxious with it above the knee.
Well, let me ask this: how do you feel about Shota Imanaga tucking his pants or his socks up and over his pants for his high socks?
That's a wild move, but hey, do what you got to do.
I mean, when you're that
I'd
good, you
rather
can really
that
do
over the
whatever.
above the knee. Real quick before we move forward with more Red Sox stuff, something that I wanted to tell you that I think
Yep.
that you can understand my frustration with. Um, been coaching a lot of baseball the last like 10 days. I think I've coached, not played, excuse me, 9 games, 10 days, something crazy like that, and I've seen it a lot. All of this swag stuff that these youngsters are wearing, the elbow guard, the shin guard, the hand guard that like Otani's wearing. They
The
got the
base runners
oven
one.
mitt like Mookie Betts with the runner on base. They have an attached scope that they add to their Oakleys to like watch run game control and try and steal signs, I think, too. But they're using all of this battle armor crap, and their parents are approving this by just buying them all of this bullshit. For what lately? Like specifically in these last 10 days, I have seen more kids that are wearing all of this stuff up at the plate run out of the way on a 65-mile-an-hour curveball that would hit them in the ass cheek meat, or running out of the way on a fastball that's mid 70s that all they need to do is stick out their elbow when they turn and it's hitting their elbow guard that their parents spent $85 on. Or
So
here's my favorite one, Mac. Wait, because it's going into base running. It's going into freaking base running. They get to the base. They look at their first base coach. They hand their gloves off. 1, 2. Now, like, let's count and visualize here, listeners and Mac, please. Like, count right when you touch on. What do you have to do? You got to go look at the outfield. You got to look at the defense. You got to go look at your signs
find the ball.
before even stepping off. No.
Find.
Like, it plays over with you're handing the shit to
Oh,
your
oh, oh.
coach. All right. So, like, that's even before you take your lead. All right. So, like, probably the last thing that they're doing or simultaneously is getting their sign. So, while they're all taking this off, they're just throwing it. That's like 20 seconds at this point with the amount of crap 95% of them are wearing. And then last but not least, they have to put on that oven mitt. By the time all this bullshit is said and done with, we're 3 pitches into the next at bat, and the third base coach is flipping out because this guy, little Johnny, has missed 3 signs because he had to make sure his oven mitt was on.
So I agree with you with that take to a certain extent. In the sense of, yeah, kids are like wearing too much like Batman armor for no reason. And if anything, I think it makes the kids like they're more afraid of getting hit by a pitch now than ever before.
Soft.
Like they're soft because they think they have all this armor on, they'll be fine, which I get at the major league level when you want to wear a shin guard or a elbow guard, because when you get 97 with two seam that has, rise to it that comes in on you and it bangs off your elbow, that's going to hurt if you're not wearing an elbow guard. You know what I mean? But as a kid,
Not
probably completely
67.
unnecessary. Like you're not good enough to be wearing stuff like that. And even if you are, like, who cares? Like, if anything, I'm looking for a kid, if I'm out recruiting a kid who's wearing no fucking batting gloves, like no nothing, just steps up there and plays baseball. James Powers is one of those kids. Shout out James Powers, coached him at Leominster High. And that kid just went up there, no batting gloves, no fancy gear, no nothing, and just would hit. Old school player.
Grit ball.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sorry for the tangent, but
It's okay. It happens. So other piece of Red Sox news, the Red Sox have traded technically for Garret Cooper from the Cubs. So we finally, because I know you're going to be excited about this, get Bob Stop either less playing time and a real first baseman or completely replace him altogether, whatever it may be. But there's finally somebody there that is competent at the plate that can hit and hopefully maybe be a little bit of a veteran in this dugout.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. We got 0-2 on Bob. Speaking of Bob, here we go.
Yeah. But Bob's dropped down a bunt hit, not to jump ahead because we haven't even recapped the series. There's a strikeout. Oh, no, it's not 0-2
Nope, he
yet.
fouled
It's
it
0-2
off.
now.
Hundo cheese.
Yeah, but he caught it. Anyways,
Well.
Garret Cooper.
Oh, you're ahead of
You
me.
said it's 0-2 on Bob. Oh, apparently I am.
Now it's 1-2 for me.
Now it's 1-2 for me too. All right. Anyways, Garret Cooper in his career is a career 268 hitter. He has 57 home runs at the major league level, 228 RBIs, 493 games. Just a solid bat to come in and help this team. And it does excite me for this offense a little bit more here because we get as much as Bob has helped us out defensively, we're going to get a little bit more production out of out of first base, which will be huge.
Definitely. And Bob strikes out.
Yeah, but you know what? He had a bunt hit. All right, he stole stole second base. All right, he's
That was a
grinder.
swing. Mac.
Shut up.
Mac, that
It
was not a bunt.
It was a swinging bunt. He swung and hit it perfectly. Okay.
He has like 3 of those, and he's batting 140. God bless America.
All right. Here's some notes that I have from the Cubs series so far as we speak, and I do have some from Game 3. To talk about Game 1. Not that it would help, but I wish Shota was on my team.
That would have been beautiful if we could have gone and grabbed him.
I don't know how well he would have fared because, different perspectives and all that stuff, but still, Shota's proven that he can.
Get out.
No, that wasn't even close. Wow, that cameraman just tickled me. Holy shit. Wow, that cameraman made that ball seem like it was going above the fucking out of the park. Anyways, wish Shota was on my team. He's pretty good. Then I wrote, I have no notes. This team is demoralizing. I'm on the train of sell the team and let's get someone in here. Who cares? Friday was a tough game, 7-1 loss, for those of you who don't know. And then my next one was, I'm not saying I told you so, but like I told you so, Tyler O'Neill home run. I told you he was going to hit one.
Do you believe in miracles?
I believe in miracles.
It is a miracle that we got this man for what we gave up. Craig cooked.
Oh, St. Louis was done with him. He was pissed at Ollie. He was battling with the front office. They couldn't wait to get rid of Tyler O'Neill. And you know what? Tyler O'Neill to the home run derby.
Yes, please. We need to get Tyler O'Neill, Mr. T.O. himself, in the Dinger Derby. He would win that thing by a landslide.
I don't know if he would necessarily win it, but my God, he would put on a show.
Oh, absolutely. And he would be like a fan favorite, I would think, too. He'd be someone that I think the group of fans that watch that and are really into the home run derby can rally around.
So not to jump forward, but jumping forward, he was mic'd up tonight, and he's just such a down-to-earth dude.
Talking about hockey and everything.
Yeah, talking about hockey, just talking about what he loves about the city, loves about the outfield and stuff like that. Just his dad being a body lifter, just a very down to earth dude. But at the end, they're like, Tommy, one more thing. They're like, you going to the home run derby? He goes, if I'm invited, I would love to go.
Yep. Start that train rolling. The fact that we gave up Nick Robertson and Victor Santos.
Who?
Exactly, dude. For Tyler O'Neill here, not bad. Not a bad return for us, considering he's making an early case for player of the month, even though he was on the IL for a little bit with a concussion.
If you prorate his stats, he's looking at, I think I did out 54 home runs or something like that right now, over the course of the rest of the season if he continued this pace.
Unfair.
Which I think 35 is well within reason for him.
Yeah, that's conservative. Pretty conservative, by the way it's looking right now.
Ooh, we got Kenley.
Oh, God, Kenley's in.
You and I both just the same reaction. Next note. I don't know who this was to. I wish I wrote down a little bit more information, but Shota just threw a breaking ball that absolutely buckled me. I was sitting down watching the game, and he threw that, and I jumped and shook. It was filthy. Absolutely filthy. Like it came in high and slow and then darted right down. It was amazing.
He had some
And that's
impressive stuff, man.
He did. And I guess the hitters too were like going back in the dugout, and you know how what you should do as a hitter is after an at bat, whether you strike out or whatever it is, and you're going back to the dugout, like be like, hey, he started me off with 2 fastballs up in the zone, whatever it is. Like tell the next hitter what you saw. The other guys are like, I have no idea. Like I thought I was sitting fastball, and he buried a splitter on me.
He kind of watching him throw. I had like little glimmers in my mind of Yu Darvish at a really young age. Just the way the ball was moving, the command on it too, the pace, smoothness of the delivery. It just reminded me of Yu Darvish a little bit. But Amaga is more than likely, like we were talking about early on when these two initially got signed. Amanga is going to be the guy that has the better year overall when you look back at it at the end of 24 in comparison to this Yamamoto guy. Amanga is the guy that everybody slept on. Guaranteed.
Oh, 100%. And his deal, like you're telling me we couldn't have forked that over. Like I think it was like 4 years, 82 million, like by the end of it or something like that, as opposed to 350 or whatever the hell, 8, 10, 350 that Yamamoto got.
Yep.
Just wild.
That's right into our MO.
So to recap Friday's game, 7-1 loss. Shota absolutely shoved it down our throats. Cutter went 6 innings pitched, 10 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 4 Ks, no walks. Threw 85 pitches, 67 of them for strikes. Now, the big key takeaways that I could take away from Cutter's start, the stat line wasn't great by any means, but he did go 6 innings pitch, which I'll take that as a positive. And 2, he allowed no walks. And as we know from Cutter, like lately, you know, there are times, especially when he gets into trouble at certain points, he can start walking the ballpark, like just can't even find the zone. So I thought that was encouraging to see at least 6 innings and no walks. How'd you feel about his start?
It was okay. It wasn't the best. But you know, if he wasn't shoving like he has been all year, you're probably a lot more pleased with it. I saw a little weirdness. He sweeper-wise looked a little off with it. And I think that's kind of why the outing was kind of a dud in comparison to the Pittsburgh one when you look at the most recent outing to compare it. So I pulled some stuff, and I'm going to break it down here real quick for you.
Hit me. What you got?
Cutter sweep. Sweeper is normally at an 8 o'clock, at a 7:30, 7:45 spin axis. So if you think of a clock.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you think of a clock, the spin of the ball coming out of Cutter Crawford's hand is a righty.
Okay.
All right, so like that's the sort of spin he has on it. You can visualize. So where 7:30 is on a clock, that's the angle of it.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes
top spin and side spin. The closer you are to 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock, it's more backspin for 12. 6 is top spin, side spin. Closer you get to 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock. Comprende. So he's normally, muy bien. He's normally at 7:30, 7:45 with it. So that's right in the middle ground of vertical and horizontal. Normally when you're not looking at other factors that influence spin on a baseball. This dropped when you look at Pitt start versus the Chicago Cubs one the other day. He was at 8 o'clock spin axis, which is that much closer to that pure side spin break. And when I saw that, I was like, ooh, all right. Well, we visually, as fans and viewers of the Red Sox, saw that he was missing a lot with the sweeper specifically out of the zone. So that would make some sense with the spin direction change. And when you break down the percentages here of the Chicago Cubs start with the zone percentages, he was only at 30.8% with his sweeper. He had a chase percentage of Yes.
Okay.
He had a chase rate of only 55.6 and a whiff rate of 33.3, which was around average of where he's been at for the year. Last start versus, and that was through 13 total sweepers that he threw. Last time he was out against Pitt, he threw 19 total sweepers. His zone percentage was near 50%. It was 47.4. His chase rate was 50%. You're not going to have as many chases if you're living 17% more in the strike zone. The whiff percentage was up 36.4, 9 for 19 strikes in comparison to the 4 for 13 he had the other night against Chicago. I'm not really too concerned about anything additional here. I looked into velocity and RPM numbers for him and looked back at the most recent starts and his averages throughout his year this year. And everything's right around his average, sometimes less, sometimes more, given on the pitch. So there's not really much concern.
I'm not terribly concerned. It could have just been an off night because it seemed like because I pulled a few numbers as well. It seemed like just certain things weren't working for him. His splitter, he only threw 9 of them. 4 of them were put into play, and 4 of them were hits. He was leaving that up in the zone a lot. Yeah. I looked at what his pitch chart looked like, where his pitches landed. He was pounding like the middle in part of his zone. Yeah, the heat map. And he was pounding middle in with very few outside, and the rest is pretty much being down in the zone. And he threw 29 four seams and 29 cutters. So, long story short, almost half his pitches, he was throwing something hard, at least, which we haven't seen a ton out of him, which gives me the thought that he probably just did not have a feel for that breaking ball, off-speed ball, nothing.
So that shows us in order for Cutter to be Cy Young potential Cutter, that sweep needs to be there at all costs.
It does because, I mean, even just looking at his numbers as well, like his fastball, he had 5 hits in play with 3 hits on the actual pitch, and then Cutter 12 balls in play with only 2 hits. So it's not like he's letting up a terrible amount of hits with the hard stuff. It's just you need that breaking ball stuff to be able to put hitters away and keep them off balance from it, especially with the way that he has his vertical break is on his fastball. So it comes in, it seems like it's coming in a little bit harder there. But not to bore you too much with numbers.
He's at that elite level of near 20.
Yeah. And so not to bore the listeners too much
for
numbers.
The vertical
long
break.
story short, Cutter just had a off night, it seems like. And, I mean, he limited damage.
He'll go with a lab.
I will say that. Yep. And, again, just limited damage for what he did. And I think that's also a positive takeaway with it. I mean, he let up 10 hits. But, again, 3 earned runs off 10 hits with no walks. I feel like that is not half bad, like for the start that he had.
Not at all. Were we concerned about when Tanner Houck had that 12th hit outing at home?
No.
Were we freaking out? No.
Nope.
Everybody pump the brakes a little bit on cut piece. Relax a little bit. Just like we did with Tanner. Trust our dog. Trust our stallion. Trust the thoroughbred. He's going to come back, bounce back next time out.
Trust Professor Bailey's laboratory. In Bailey, we trust. Joely goes one innings pitch, 3 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 1 K. Gone forever.
Na 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 na. Na 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. Get the heck out of here, man. It's boo sound time, baby.
Zach Kelly comes in, 2 innings pitch, 1 hit, 1 K. He threw 26 pitches, 20 strikes. And I thought that was impressive. I'm telling you, Zach Kelly's going to be freaking good. And that's game 1, ladies and gentlemen, outside of Tyler O'Neill's bomb. He was 2 for 4. He was the only one who did damage against the Cubs in general, but Shota as well. Jan Duran just walking down first base. Let's see what that angry lizard can do with no outs and Rafi Devers up. Game 2 was an absolute bloodbath. Like, that was, I don't even want to say statement game because it was a bullpen game for the Cubs and they have a horrendous bullpen, but like, bloodbath.
Oh, absolutely.
Like 17-0 win. We saw 2 infielders come in and pitch. That's how bad. Pablo Reyes ended up on the mound for us.
He did. He finished out the shutout for the boys. It got
Yep.
really sketchy at the end there with the walk and the base hit, but Pablo, he pulled through,
okay.
papi.
Pablo
He
did
pulled
his thing.
through.
Some notes from game 2. I have more than I thought I was going to have because my first one was, where is this? Watch the first inning, then had to go to dinner. A hashtag angry lizard.
Mm.
And then I said we either need to re-sign Tyler or ask the moon for him at the trade deadline. And I know that's jumping ahead months, and I hope we don't trade him, but I would love to re-sign him. Rafi, you dirty dog. You dirty dog. Oh,
Good piece of hit. And when Rafi goes oppo, you know he's going right.
when it, yeah, we're going to talk about Rafi. I don't have numbers pulled on him, but we are absolutely going to talk about him. Next thing I said right after re-signing Tyler is Tyler equals good at hit.
Yep.
Then little Rafi breaks it wide open because at that point I think he made it 5-0. Hit a bases clearing.
We're going
double.
to need to pause your entire
and just see
notes
if we get
because
the
it's
win
bottom
here.
9, first and third, tie
You know
ball
what?
game.
Let me lay the situation out for you. Bottom 9, tie ball game. Jaron Duran's at third base. Rafael Devers on first with no outs. And Tyler O'Neill at the plate.
I thought he
The
just got
count
hit.
here is 1-0. We got Mark Leader Jr. on the here. Tyler O'Neill's 0 for 3, but we're going to look to see if he can get something going here, get something deep enough in the outfield to bring that run
Yes,
in.
indeed. It's a good count. The pitch and a ball outside.
Breaking
Tyler
ball.
O'Neill
He's
looks
afraid to throw him a
poised.
fastball.
Oh, big time respect to Tyler O'Neill here. It is 2-0. I think he's going to get a heater.
No, he's not going to throw him anything near the zone. If anything, they're willing
He
to
is
put
getting a
him
heater.
on base. Oh, he got a heater.
He's getting a heater.
So I did see thing for Tyler O'Neill's home runs. Every single one of them this season has been like in the middle of the zone, like middle up, middle down. You do not want to throw that guy anything down the middle. Anything
middle
hittable.
down. That was middle down, Mac. And the pitch. Oh, swung right through one down to Johnson. A fastball. And the count is 2-2.
Did he not foul tip that? I thought he pulled that down the right field line. Maybe he did swing and miss through that. Don't try to do too much
Ladies
here,
and
T.O.
Oh,
That should do it. No, maybe not.
Ow! Get up.
Dan. Oh, yes.
Get down. Let's go. Oh, my goodness. Yup. The boys rolling. Get the crowd going. It's a Red Sox walk-off.
Tyler
The boys
O'Neill
went
walks it
5-4.
off with a series win against the Cubs, 2-1. Yay!
And the SoxHub get the series prediction correct.
Oh my God, let's go. Let's
Hell of a
go. I'm going to tell you right now, the Cubs, this is obviously going to be jumping ahead, but the Cubs are a good baseball team. And to go out and take 2 out of them, I don't care who they started. They had a bullpen game the second game, and then Jordan Wicks got injured, so they had to start Hayden Wesneski. I don't care. The Cubs are a good baseball team. This team deserves some credit for what they are doing here. And again, like Tristan Cassis could be out for 9 weeks. Who knows? Could be out for 4 weeks. We have no idea. But if he comes back, that's dangerous. We're getting Pavetta back. We're getting Bayo back soon. It's going to be Pavetta versus then Bayo. We get Vaughn Grissom back next week, I believe. I'm telling you right now, they could be the wild card team of this division potentially, because obviously Baltimore's going to jump up, or should jump up. Like, they're easily probably the number 2 team in baseball, if not the number 1 team in baseball. The Yankees are good. It's going to be a tough thing to try to do it, but like, for what they're doing in this division, they are freaking competing, and I love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am officially dubbing the 2024 Boston Red Sox your America's team. Book it.
The 2024 Red Sox, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody counted us out. Even our own fans counted us out, but God knows this is America's team. But you know what I found out happens to America's teams? They use in a heartbreaking way.
Or they come back
When their backs are against the wall, when no one's believing in them, guns a-blazing, coming out there, foaming at the mouth, ready for war.
Like Kim Kardashian?
And that's what Cora's got these boys doing.
Oh, yeah. It's wartime in Boston. I can't yell.
I'm not like, after that walk-off, Mac, I'm not like raging, like excited like I was at the beginning of the year, like half shocked at the beginning of the year. Right now I'm like, damn right, we almost just freaking blew that. Chris Martin, we got to be better, man. That shouldn't have been a contest. They should have covered the freaking 1.5 spread right there. The Sox were minus 1.5 today. They should have covered that. They just won 5-4 when they were up 4-1 when Tanner left the ball game. That's unacceptable. But at the same time, I will take the win. I expect this to happen. I expected the series win, 2-1. So, like, good. Keep doing your job. On to the next series. On to the next game.
I love it. I will tell you right now. So, side note about the Sox, which I think separates them from a lot of major league teams. So, I was watching baseball today, and it was the Oakland Athletics versus the Baltimore Orioles. And there was a ground ball to second base. Hitter dogs it down the first baseline. And Haley goes, that guy ran really slow when he hit the ball in play. And I was like, yes, Haley, he did. Very good observation. Haley. Right? Like observing that, of how slow that guy ran. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, that's kind of the huge difference here between, I feel like, the Red Sox, and this is where that nitty-gritty personality comes in. They hustle out, unless you're Devers because you got a bum knee, they run out everything. Jarren Duran puts pressure on everybody. Bob got a swinging bunt hit, hustling down the line. Connor Wong, every time he runs down the line, is running as hard as he can. Like every single one of them bust their butt down that line, no matter what it is. They're running hard 90s, and I love that out of this team. It shows another level of competitiveness that this team has that is, again, why they are going to they're going to become America's team, like you said. I'm all on board with
it. Like we talked about either last pod or the pod prior, this team has been playing baseball since opening day night. Like every single pitch, every single game is a playoff atmosphere and a must-win situation. Whether that's good for their mentals in the day-to-day grind of 162 or not, that's kind of the route they got to go, like we've talked about. And Alex Cora is doing that with this group, and the boys are buying into that approach. All up and down the lineup, all up and down the pitching staff. You can see that, especially when you go watch other organizations play, other teams. Like that you simply don't see that in half of these matchups, more than half of these matchups that you're watching. But you do with the Red Sox.
You certainly do not. And that's where they're going to scrape and claw for every win that they have. And I'm all for that right now. I really am. Because, again, this team, they do something to you. They do. I know there's certain people that are just down on them. Like, they're not emotionally connected to it. They're distanced themselves from like the diehard fans. They want to say that, if you're still excited about this team, then like you're clearly don't care or don't watch enough of it. But you and I have watched pretty much every single game and just still feel something with this team. And this goes back to my point of, if you can stop looking at it as John Henry's baseball team and just look at it as your favorite baseball team and support who's out there and want them to do the best that they can, you get a different experience. Yes, it's heartbreaking when they make an error and lose. I mean, game one, they made one error. Granted, should have shoved it down their throats, but they made an error and lost. Last night, they didn't make an error. Tonight, they didn't make an error. And look we're winning ball games when we make errors. So my whole point to this is just be supportive of them. I mean, my God. And I do actually have one note from game 2 on the whole support thing. But this was in my notes here. A little bit farther down, so I got to skip to it. I took way more notes for having gone out to dinner and missing like the first half of this game or whatever it was than I thought I was going to. It was, where did it go? Listening to the game on the radio, and I hear the entire stadium shouting, "Bobby, Bobby, Bobby." When he was up the bat yesterday, it was already like 11-0 or something like that to that point. And they're just screaming for Bobby. And I love seeing that from the Red Sox nation, the Red Sox fans showing that support for Bobby. Because again, Bob struggled. All right. Don't like Bob. You've made that very clear. Bob struggled, but he's on this baseball team. We want him to do well. There's no reason to hate a guy who's going out there trying, facing major league pitching. It's not easy. All right. So long story short.
Every team needs its mascot. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, Bob. I'm sorry. Keep doing your thing.
One day we're gonna get Bob on this podcast, and I'm gonna let you talk all your hate and all your shit.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna be like, what the fuck you doing, buddy? It's okay. I love the defense, but I would love to not even like on the podcast, just hear his thoughts on like what's the difference between all of the success he has at the AAA level and the lack of at the plate outside of one half of the season at the major league level, what he thinks is the reason, or if he thinks about that at all.
I would have to think that it's probably just the level of pitching he's actually seeing. Because at the AAA level, there's a reason those pitchers are in AAA. They're depth pieces. You know what I mean? So like you're not seeing 100% quality pitching down there you would see at the major league level. So you might be getting. No, but you might see a sweeper in the major leagues that absolutely buckles you. We're up there, that same sweep right across the middle of the zone, and you to see it better because, again, it's not as sharp of a bite. The pitching level is just different.
Sure, but like when he's getting into these advantageous hitters counts, like he knows he's going to be getting a heater 9 times out of 10 with the lack of success he's having. Like he's going to get a free heater most of the time, I feel like, if he's batting below 100, and like anybody can hit a fastball at the major league level. Like, I don't understand that piece.
This offense one day has you feeling like you're unbeatable, and other days it is frustrating. That was one of my other notes. Because again, it's polarizing. It's a polarizing offense. It really is. Hitting with runners in scoring position has been good. Then I said Bob is fast otherwise. And then Raffy gets on second base, up 8-0, and then he steals third. Low Raffy does not give a fuck. Absolutely.
Like when Bob just started wearing the bifocals at the plate, like clearly that was like a kicking and screaming Will Ferrell movie move with the goalkeeper. Like, oh, he can't see the ball, so we're gonna give him prescription Oakleys.
Justin Slayton might be one of the best relievers in baseball.
I gotta go look at his batting average. Justin
Boozehound.
Proceed.
Yes. Justin Slayton might be one of the best relievers in baseball. Boozehound just threw a breaking ball that literally made me shiver. And he threw this to Yan Gomes for strike 3. And that's a lefty breaking ball that goes onto a righty. So it's swooping in this way, obviously. And it absolutely I was like, woo, it made me feel something. I loved it.
Bobby Dahlbeck, 47 at-bats, 24 strikeouts.
One of the other things that I've noticed is that Massa has quieted his hands in his stance and his load. And so it seems like he's kind of simplified his stance a little bit more when he's hitting. And I think that has shown a lot of results because he's been pretty well at the plate. Then I said, Dansby looks like a video game character. There was one pitcher after Morel got like injured or whatever it was, like colliding with Kinnear in the outfield or whatever, and they showed Dansby Swanson just standing up there, and he looked like a Creta player and something, like with this big bushy hair and this beard. It kind of looked really funny. I do have a question for you.
What do you got?
Do you think that knowing you're going to play every day because of your defense takes off pressure of your at-bats, and that could somehow lead to more success? Or
yes, unless if your last name is Dahlbeck.
So what I mean by this, though, specifically is this one is geared actually towards Bob and Raffy.
Yes, we will give it to Bobby right now because he has a perfect fielding percentage right now at first and third through 19 games. We'll take that.
Listen, that was one of the biggest gripes out of fans and people was the defense of this team, and he's supplying just that. Now suddenly he's not hitting, and everybody's all pissed off.
Suddenly?
Well,
oh.
No, seriously. Do you think that being able to play, knowing that you have everyday at bats because of your defense, takes a lot of pressure off those at bats, no matter how bad you're doing?
Yeah,
And
without
so,
a doubt. Using a more serious example, little Rafi right now,
mhm.
you can see him every single game that goes by. The pressure's getting off of him a little bit. Um, and everybody in the baseball world that has any IQ to this or awareness knows that he has gold glove potential here, whether it's in the outfield or one day at shortstop. Who knows? Probably not the future there, but he's playing sustainable defense there.
That he
And
is.
knowing that as a young player with options still, that's definitely going to help you stay looser and not necessarily put a ton of stress, anxiety, pressure, stress on yourself in the box. And the young guys, the young dudes in this lineup and pitching staff can use that a ton, and that helps a lot.
I would have to agree with you on that because I think the biggest thing for like playing every day is, Cora probably saying to a Bob or little Raffy saying something like, listen, you're going to be out there every day. Whatever we get out of the bat is a bonus. Just go out there and play good defense. And again, just knowing that you're going to play every day, whether you go 0 for 4 with 4Ks or whatever it is, I think that's got to be a huge relief to some extent. Like knowing that,
Yeah.
like, okay, like my job's good. Like I'm here to play defense, and then whatever comes with the bat comes with the bat. I can also see it on the flip side, though, it being frustrating. Like you kind of viewed as not necessarily a defensive player only, but like a guy who excels with the glove, but not great with the bat. Because I mean, I feel like everybody wants to, no matter who you are. Like we've all dreamt of being that dude stepping in the box at one point as a young kid or whatever, pretending you're in the majors, you're in Game 7 of the World Series, and you hit that walk-off home run in the bottom of the ninth, whatever it may be. We've all pictured a scenario like that in our head. And I feel like for a player sometimes like they try to press too hard at the plate. So I think it takes some pressure off. But it was something that just came to mind because Rafi was blowing up at the plate this game, and obviously or the 17-0 bloodbath in Game 2.
Yeah.
That it made me think of that. One of my other thoughts, can we just carry like 14 2 to 3 inning guys and have them throw every third day and just do bullpen games? Because I haven't looked into it, but I gotta imagine our bullpen games have been great. Like
Like we
we
said
do
last
well
pod,
with those.
TBD is the most valuable player on this team.
No matter
My
what, you're always
favorite.
gonna have them there.
Always. He's old reliable. He's always going to
Mm-hmm.
show up for his start.
Always. But like it's ridiculous. Like you look at these guys like Cooper Criswell, Bernardino. I know Chase had a bad start in the Cleveland series. But if you take that out, like these guys that are openers that go 2 3 innings, Justin Slayton, Zach Kelly right now going 2 innings here. Weisert's done it in the past. Like they've all been very valuable innings. And I've thought about this, right? This could be like a systemic change to the game of baseball. But like I could picture down the road there being no such thing as a starter because I thought about it. I was like, Tanner Houck struggled 3 times through the order, right? So clearly, the more a hitter sees a pitcher, the more they're going to get comfortable with him in the same game. So you start throwing 4 relievers at a guy in a game or at a team in a game, they're going to be seeing something different 4 different times. Like that's got to be much harder to hit. That's got to be much harder to hit. Like there was that point where closers weren't a thing anymore for a little bit. Like people were putting their
Mm-hmm.
closers in the highest leverage situation. So whether that be the 7th inning with the bases loaded and your team's only up by 2 runs and there's 1 out, you're going to bring your closer in to get you out of that situation as opposed to saving for the 9. So saves now became less valuable when it came to arbitration ratings. And my whole point to this is that like I can see that change.
Think about having a group of pitchers, not having one starting pitcher. So you have 5 open slots now in your staff. Go take any of the 5, not in the top 5, from number 5 to number 20 of the best closers in the league, put them in bullpen, and you take the normal Red Sox guys. That right there is extremely sustainable. You can pretty much have each guy go every other day or 1 day, 2 days off, 1 time through the order each time they're out there. And like you were just saying, seeing a guy multiple times in the same day or in the same year, you're going to end up picking up tendencies. You're going to see that breaking ball a little bit better the 3rd, 4th time through rather than the first, obviously. Same thing with the fastball and all the other pitches. When you break that up and switch that philosophy and approach up, you're eliminating that from the game, and you can all of a sudden start to use those lefty-righty matchups that much more, or using the pitch data analytics a little bit more into how you're going to attack the next three guys in that lineup that are coming up in the sixth inning on a Wednesday night.
Yep. And now for those of you that might be sitting there being like, what the hell does this guy know that these pitchers can go out there every third day or whatever it is, pitching on whatever. Trotta is a pitching coach, works very closely with high level arms and stuff like that, and knows the body, knows the stuff. So for those of you that might be saying, no, they can't do that. If Trotta says they can, they can.
Absolutely.
Little Rafi's breakout game. Little Rafi went 4 for 4 with 7 RBIs, 2 doubles, a home run, and a single. It was a triple shy of the cycle. Also chipped in a stolen base, which, again, I find it wildly funny that up 8-0, this fucker's stealing third base. That's just a competitiveness that I love.
0-0 game in his mind. You don't give a damn.
Yeah. And then I said this. I think this is an interesting take. And it might have to go with your America's team thing. I think for most other teams, what this team is doing now would be impressive. So, like, if the Oakland Athletics were doing this, I'm trying to think of who else. The Angels were doing this, right? Who else is I'm blanking on major league teams right now in my head. But you get what I'm like, those mid-tier teams that are not that great that everybody thinks, they should be spending money, they shouldn't, whatever it is. If any other team was doing this, what the Red Sox are doing right now, I think they would see it as impressive and they would call it America's team. The reason that they don't is because it is the Boston Red Sox. Like, we're expected to win. Exactly. Yep. So that's where there's all these complaints about the fielding, the roster construction, the Bob being there, whatever it may be. Like, there's all those complaints about that in ownership, where any other team was doing this. I think any other mid-level team was doing this, it would be an impressive run for them. People would actually be taking note of what they're doing.
Couldn't agree more.
I did actually make a note somewhere. I got to find it real quick to put it in here. There was some note that I put out here. I forgot where I put it. But there was a thing on Joel. It was in game 1. That's what it was. It was Joel's last out that he made, and he clearly had a terrible inning, let up a few runs. And the only reason I want to say this is because my next note on here was Joel DFA'd and how they brought up the Japanese pitcher to replace him. I made a note somewhere in here. I can't find it, but he was walking off the mound, kind of shaking his head, and Emmanuel Valdez patted him on the back, like, it's all right, go get him. Go get him next time. Don't worry about it. And I wrote down the note, like, that is probably the last time a player is going to pat his back because he is going to get DFA'd.
Yep.
So there's
Swan
that.
song.
And then my last note for game 2 is Bernardino was sent down because of Joely, just because of the whole options things. Bernardino had options, Joely didn't. What I love about Bernardino is that he did not give a single. I'm sure he was pissed, don't get me wrong, but like, he didn't cry, he didn't complain, he didn't pout, he didn't do nothing. He put his head down, went to work, and he was going to be ready for when we got the call to the majors. And again, that is the type of guy I want on my team. I don't care what your success level is or anything like that. At any point, major league, college, high school, AAU, I want a kid that maybe got put on a lesser team, feels he should have been on a better team, didn't pout, didn't cry, no nothing, put his head down and went to work. That is a dude right there that I will have on my team any day of the week.
Couldn't say it better myself.
So some quick stats too for the 17-0 bloodbath. Wink went 3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 K. Bernardino 1 inning pitch, 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 K. Slayton comes in 2 innings pitched, 2 Ks. Boozhound went 2 innings pitched, 3 Ks. And then Pablo Reyes went 1 innings pitched, 1 hit, 1 walk. On the offensive side of things, I am not going to go into depth about this because, again, it was a bloodbath. We had 21 hits as an offense. But Massa went 4 for 5 with an RBI. O'Neill, 3 for 5 with a double and a home run. And we already talked about Little Raffy going 4 for 4 with 7 RBIs. My big thing is, like I said, watching Massa, his hands have quieted down a ton in his load and everything. They're a little bit higher up, and just like the change that Fatsy made last year, because he started lowering them again. And now his hands are a little bit higher. They're a little bit quieter in his load, and he has simplified his approach at the plate. And I made a note in game 3 as we were doing this of Massa needs more love, truly. And starting a campaign, you want to win, put Massa in.
Masa Yoshida, man. Guy that you cannot count out here despite all of the negativity going around with his name. The guy's a professional. He's going to show up and he's going to perform. I promise you. Professionals make adjustments. They show up every day and they get after it. Whether it's a good day or bad day.
Whether it's a good
That's
day
exactly what Masa's doing.
or a bad day. Game 3, Sox win 5-4, as we just discussed in a walk-off. Some quick notes, and then we'll go into a series MVP pick. Houck looks good from the start. I'm feeling really good about him. Could be a potential Cy Young candidate this year. Need O'Neill mic'd up more, very down to earth. Bob, Bun Single, fastest guy in the team. Don't let him heat up. I'm telling you, we'll never get 2021 Bob back, but I love him. And then I said Bob, fastest guy alive, stolen base. And then DOINK! The Sox finally get a break. Wong single off the third bag. Runners in scoring position. We are doing better. And then I already mentioned the Massa thing. Willier, good at right field. And then the Little Raffy run starts now. We are going to see a impressive run looking deep into Max Crystal ball here. I think we're going to start seeing like 2 to 4s, like 2 for 4 days out of him. Like you're not getting him probably striking out 3 or 4 times. Like maybe you have 1 or 2 of those here and there, but I think we see like a good 10 to 15 game stretch out of him coming up. I think he's feeling more confident at the plate. He's feeling a little bit better. The team's vibes are up. I think we see a run for Little Raffy right here.
I agree. Get him to the top of the lineup soon.
We'll see. We'll see. Now, that will lead us, and we have not done one of these in a whole series, but another SHS MVP, a.k.a. the SoxHub Series MVP. Trotta, my friend. I know because we were kind of doing the third game live there. Who do you got as your MVP of the series?
We were just talking about him, man. It was his on the scene legacy starting performance. You got to go with Lil Rafi. Ceddanne Rafaela here. The SoxHub Series MVP against the Chicago Cubs.
Wow. I didn't actually think you were going to go there.
Got to do it.
But
you had a legacy day. Did decent today. Had a good knock.
4 for 4 last
He's now
night,
leading the
7.
team in RBIs because of that 7 RBI day. He's looking looser. We have our shortstop. He's making the plays.
So I'm going to go a little bit different than you.
Okay.
And I'm going to go Tyler O'Neill.
Okay.
And I know that we lost Friday's game, but he had a home run. In the 17-0 bloodbath, again, he went 3 for 5 with a double and his 9th home run and a base hit on top of it. And then tonight,
that home run was almost out too.
Yep. And then tonight drives in the game-winning run after going 0 for 3 at the plate.
Hey,
So if you ask me,
I'll tip it.
I feel like what he did probably helped out a little bit more, like to a certain extent, where, again,
Especially
Rafi
today.
had a great game. Rafi had a great game, but he went 0 for 4 in the first one, then 4 for 4, and then 2 for 4, where he went 1 for 4 or 2 for 4 in the first game, 3 for 5, and tonight 0 for 3 technically. So you can kind of go either way with it. I just think Tyler O'Neill probably had a few more bigger moments in that one.
Especially with tonight's game, taking the series, and with it being at home.
Amen.
Yeah, I might have to change my pick a little bit here, so we can have a unanimous one. Tyler O'Neill it is. Oh. T.O.'s definitely pumping it up. And we're talking on the bench press.
Your SoxHub Series MVP, T.O. Tyler Tanks O'Neill, baby.
Pump it up, baby. This dude eats nails for breakfast. He hits tanks that are further than a goddamn farm in the middle of Nebraska. This man bench presses more than what the Empire State Building weighs. This man's pythons attached to his arm are bigger than an SUV or a military-graded tank.
Fact.
He knows what he is doing at the plate. He knows what he's doing in the clubhouse. He knows what he is doing on defense. And man, oh man, you gotta love having that swift Tyler O'Neill D behind you.
Amen. Amen. That man loves hitting at Fenway. Like, I truly, I understand that we may have an outfield logjam in the near future, but man, I'd love to see him on this team for years.
Me too, dude. The way he looks, pimping a home run in the box, it just fits the whole entire shtick of the Boston Red Sox for me. Amen. I don't know why, but it just feels so right seeing him in that uniform in Fenway Park doing his thing, hitting bombs over the monster, breaking windshields on Lansdowne left and right.
I got to think that's his first SHS MVP.
Indeed. Andrew Bailey got one, and Reese McGuire got another.
Who got the Pirates series one? Do we remember?
Ooh. Wilger Abreu.
Ah, that's right. Wilger Abreu.
Great play tonight, too.
Oh, great play. Great play. There was another question I wanted to ask you. Oh, so one more question before we get to our next segment here. How hard do you think it is to be a translator? Just in general, but probably at the MLB level, because the reason I say that is they interviewed Shota Imanaga tonight, and you have the translator who's got to listen to what that person's saying, say it in Japanese, listen to the 5-minute rant that a player gives in whatever language that they're doing, whether it's Japanese, Spanish. Yeah, that's pretty much it, Japanese or Spanish. And then they have to relay exactly what they said to millions of people that are watching. Like, how hard do you think that is at the MLB level?
I don't think the whole grand scheme of things is rather difficult, because those guys, outside of like the Red Sox Spanish translator, who appears to be a Caucasian male, either that or he's like an Americanized Spaniard, like a guy that is like born speaking that language, like this translator for Imanaga. Mm-hmm. Same thing with like a Shohei translator. These guys, it's like subject. Just a normal. Yes, we won't get into that. It's like a basic thing for them, you know. It's more, I feel, understanding the English part of it and fully understanding what they're looking for out of an answer or how to relay it to try and get a proper answer from your guy that's not speaking the language. I think it's really easy going from like listening to the English, speaking it in Japanese, listening to your guy in Japanese or whatever language, say it back to you in Japanese, and then translating it back to English. I think the thing that's difficult with them is the whole pressure of like, oh my gosh, if I say one thing wrong here, it's not me that I make look like an asshole. I'm making this professional athlete look like an asshole. You know, I think that's more the pressure that they get. But in realistic sense, you're not bullshitting them. You're just relaying what they're saying in a different language into English. Like, how much pressure is that?
I don't even want to say if pressure is the right word, but it's more like when you hear, and I'm going to use Shota as an example just because he was mic'd up tonight for an interview in the dugout. Like, like they go on for 2 or 3 minutes in Japanese, and then you as a translator have to remember everything that they said. I can't even remember how this conversation started, let alone what.
Yeah, what was the question
like,
again? Yeah.
Exactly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just having to remember, like, I was like for the Pittsburgh series when they were interviewing Wiljer Abreu, like, he was talking for like 3 minutes and then the translator would go in and speak. Like, you got to remember everything he said from the start of that to the end of that. But, like, that's where I wonder if it's like, I know it's not going to be word for word because, like, the movement of like
Absolutely
verbs
not.
and stuff like that in different languages. So you're interpreting what he's saying. But, like, I don't know. I feel like that can't be easy. But maybe it is because, again, you just know a second language. So maybe it's a lot easier than I think because I don't know a second language.
It's kind of like improv in a sense, but
Mm.
you're sort of getting a script to work off of.
Fair enough. Touche. Just wanted to bring that up. All right.
I like
Now
that.
it is time for
Oh, I finally used to that.
Trotta's top pitching performance of the week. The TTP. What do we got? Talk to me.
The TTPP. First and foremost is brought to you in part by Bullet Slider Whiskey. Precision craftsmanship, smoothly savored, and violently delivered. This week's TTPP goes to Pablo Reyes. No, I'm just kidding, brother. I'm just kidding, but he did finish that shutout in rather swift fashion. We're going to go with a different look at it. We're going to go with a bullpen character here that has been taking the league by storm and has been recently getting a lot of love on the Twitter streets. And that individual is no other than Rule 5 draft extraordinaire, Justin MF and Slayton. God
Slate.
damn. This man in the Chicago Cubs series got credited with the win in his 2 innings, 2 Ks performance, lowering his ERA on the year to a 0. Yes, young fella, a 0.55. He's got a .49 whip in 16 and a third innings, a 2.12 Fipsky. Absolutely impressive stuff when you think about where the Red Sox got this individual from. The Rule 5 draft yet again, like his fellow brother Garrett Whitlock.
Actually, it was technically traded, but he was out of the Rule 5 draft pick.
Indeed he was. From the Metskis, if my old self remembers. This man is just a heat cut, sweep and repeat special. He doesn't have a bullet slider in his arsenal, but you bet your bottom dollar, brother, that he's slinging shots back a bullet slider whiskey pre and post game. Better than anybody else in this bullpen, and it is showing out there on game day. Justin Slayton is this week's TTPP, and goddamn put this man on notice right now as the All-Star Game's closer.
Without a doubt. I couldn't agree more. The man deserves it. And there's a lot of people in this staff and there's probably a reason he doesn't get the exposure and notoriety that everybody else does is because of the fact the starting pitching was supposed to not be great and they've been doing so well that like he gets pushed down. If starting pitcher was supposed to be the way that it was and he was the guy of the bullpen that was the next Whitlock, he would probably be getting a lot more notice. But man, filthy when he comes out of the bullpen. And what amazes me, has never pitched in the big leagues before.
It's like he's done this for years and years and years, as long as Kenley has. The poise, the level-headedness, the stuff out there, it's just incredible. 96 heaters, a sweep Johnny, and a cut. It's just straight. I'm coming at you with nonstop, high velo pitches with glove side movement. Good luck to you.
Amen. Now, this actually brings me to a question that I wrote down that has to do with pitch. Do you think this is like the wildest year-to-year change in pitching ever? And what I mean to that is obviously you compare 2023 Red Sox to where we are now with this pitching. And obviously getting rid of Dave Bush, adding Andrew Bailey and Craig Breslow and Kyle Bodie and all these guys. Do you think that's like the wildest year-to-year change? I mean, I haven't looked it up, so I have no idea. But
yeah, I could assume so, especially when you think that we didn't really bring in any new individuals. These are all very similar faces as last year.
Exactly.
Let's think about this real quick. Who are the new faces? Chase Anderson, Cooper Criswell,
Justin Slayton,
Sheriff Campbell,
Greg Weiser. But like the starting pitching
more of the
staff's
starting
the same.
pitchers here is the most consistent thing in the world, and your priority bullpen guys. Your Chris Martin, Kenley, they're still there. Winkowski, still there. You know, and all of these guys as a group, not just one or two, hell, three of them, the whole group taking this big of a stride. They're beating teams that have made like a year-to-year jump like this in this 180 that like bought it. Whether it was trades or free agency, they're doing it organically. And what's the one thing that everybody's bitched and moaned about since we could remember about the Red Sox and their development in the farm system and at the major league level? What's it been?
Defensive pitching.
Yeah, it's the sound and tune is normally pitching. Defense as of late, but pitching for sure.
Yeah, but
and they're kind of putting that to bed right now.
Amen. And I do truly have to believe that Kyle Bodie is a big part of this, the founder and CEO of Driveline Baseball. But like I made this point probably like a year or two ago, but I said this on one of the podcasts. I think we are going to see a Moneyball-esque team here. And I know not Moneyball in the sense of, you know, playing with a $42 million payroll and having to go out there and do it, but you're going to see a true systemic change in the game, I believe, or even a philosophical approach to the game where teams are going to pay for the elite guys, the Shohei Otanis of the world, the Mookie Betts of the world, the Mike Trouts, Bryce Harpers, like those types of guys, where we saw it this year, Bellinger, Snell, Montgomery, all guys that are probably a tier, if not two below that superstar status, that were looking for these big, massive contracts and never got them. And my whole point to all this is that we are going to see a systemic change in baseball. And I think it starts with Kyle Bodie of not trying to go out and find the cheapest players we can to produce or outproduce. We're going to develop, like truly develop talent. I mean, we've seen it with the Baltimore Orioles to see what they've done with all their number one picks and how many hits on those players that they've had. Because as we know, prospects a lot of the times don't pan out the way that we thought. We draft a guy one and he may never even make it to the big leagues. Yet,
correct.
I think we are now seeing a ton of guys that either go undrafted that are getting signed. Like we are going to find value in undrafted free agents, guys that are just out there that were never picked by a team in the MLB or anything like that in a draft. And we are going to sign them and we are going to develop these guys that nobody's ever heard of. And I think we are going to see that across baseball in the coming years. And that's going to be the change in baseball where superstars are going to get X amount of dollars. And then there's going to be a tier that's well below that where teams are going to stop overpaying for players because they realize, holy shit, we could be like the Red Sox or the Orioles or whatever and just develop these guys, find them and find something that's intriguing about them, whether it's 1+ pitch or 1+ tool, and try to develop it further and develop other tools. And I think we're going to see a ton of that in baseball moving forward is true development. I know that's always been a part of the game, but like a true development where we're actually seeing success at the major league level.
I love that take, and I can see it in your crystal ball just like you can.
I love that. But it's been something I've been thinking about. But to the main question, though, like it has to be one of the most wildest year-to-year changes from getting rid of Dave Bush, adding Andrew Bailey, and seeing what those numbers are with the same pitching staff, essentially. Like, you know, starting pitchers. It has to be one of the craziest year-to-year takes or year-to-year changes.
Numbers don't lie. Bailey's a dog.
Exactly.
Put respect on it.
Put respect on the name. All right, that will bring us to our series look ahead. The Red Sox are playing the Giants Trotta, what do you got for me? What's it looking like?
Yes, sir. So we're recording Sunday night right now. We have Monday off, the
Amen
29th
for this
of April.
bullpen.
So we got a little break tomorrow. So our first game is going to be on Tuesday. It's Logan Webb versus Cooper Criswell. Game 2, we got the Giants throwing their TD, not as good as the Red Sox, versus Cutter Crawford. Game 3, the Giants are throwing their young stud Harrison versus Winkowski. I believe that's Kyle Harrison, yes?
Yes.
That's his name? Yes. He's been having a good start to the year. Pretty good strikeout totals. He's been eating innings, 5-6 innings per start for the most part. Has a couple of wins. Mike Yastrzemski is my highlight guy one of my highlight guys for the Giants that I'm a little concerned about here for this series. He just finished off their finale with a pretty hot day with a knock, a couple RBIs. He's coming home. Mike Yastrzemski was a St. John's prep grad. He has the Yastrzemski blood in him.
That
He'll be playing outfield where Yaz played. Chills. I believe this is his second time in his career where he's had the opportunity to play at Fenway Park as a Giant. And I think he's going to capitalize on it, especially with the amount of veteran experience he has under his belt now. And this could be the last time that he plays at Fenway in a series. So I think he's going to leave it out with a bang, and it'll kind of be like a Angels in the outfield sort of approach where Yes is right behind him, holding the bat with him, seeing that pitch in, and knocking one out of the park. I'm personally moving into another guy on the Giants. I love Lamonte Wade Jr.
He's having a hell of a year.
He seems like he gets a knock every single game going back to last year. He's such a dirt dog kind of guy. He reminds me of a Tommy Pham type of style player a little bit. Like, seems like a guy that takes no bullshit and is pretty cutthroat in the clubhouse, but I could be really wrong. It's just how he strikes me on a baseball field. But he strikes me as a guy that we got to look out for as a pitching staff, him and Yaz.
I think there's a couple more guys that you got to think about too to like keep an eye on. Obviously, Jorge Soler. Like Jorge Soler, he's a career 250 hitter against the Red Sox with 4 homers and 10 RBIs and 24 at-bats. He loves hitting at Fenway. So obviously you have him. But the other one is Matt Chapman, just considering he's played in the AL before. So he's, there's...
Yeah, he's seen us a lot. He knows our pitchers really well.
Exactly. Like he has a 250 average against them in 51 hits, 7 home runs, 24 RBIs in 54 games. So he's one I know his hitting has completely tapered off from his all-star level years with the Athletics and whatnot. But I don't know. Like the Giants lineup is the Giants.
All right.
Is one of those. The Giants is a very sneaky team, I think. Like they're a team that I think is a little bit better. Their pitching is probably their most questionable thing because Blake Snell just went on the IL. And he hasn't even been great since signing with them. But like they're a team that I really respect though for what they did in the offseason. Like they identified issues and went out and fixed them. They needed power. They went out and got Jorge Soler. They needed help on defense. They went and got Slick Nick Ahmed, shout out East Long Meadow.
Go Glover.
Playing shortstop.
A couple of Massachusetts guys.
No, he wasn't platinum because Arenado's gotten one. But yeah, a couple of Mass guys there. But then you have Matt Chapman as well over at third base, who was a Gold Glove winner, and might have even been a Platinum Glove winner. Don't quote me on that. At third base, so like they went and they helped out the left side tremendously. And then they went out and got Blake Snell as well. So I respect what they did for a team that they had holes and they went and they filled them, or at least tried to. And I respect that out of an organization.
One thing that they let slip away that imagine if they had him. Imagine if they still had Bailey's Laboratory going on over there.
Oh. But that also gives me a good point to, series predictions here is Bailey kind of knows this pitching staff in and out about how they're going to pitch, how they're going to move. So I think they're going to be kind of extra prepared for this game.
And the lineup. He knows how to carve. He knows the weaknesses. He knows how to attack that offense for the most part.
Wow. That's
Here's the
like,
recipe.
I didn't think about that until you just brought up that point that Bailey was obviously the old pitching coach over there, where my whole series prediction might change here, or at least have a way more positive outlook on it. All right, what do you got for series prediction here?
Before I give you that, like we said, the Red Sox are now 16-13. They were third place when we started the podcast. We'll have to look back later on, and they were
Still
a game
third
back from the
place.
wild card. Right.
Just because
We're
Yankees and
tied for the
Baltimore.
wild card now.
Uh,
Tied for the wild card.
yeah.
The Giants are 14-15. They're second
Right
place
there.
in the NL West, and they're a game and a half back from the wild card. I'm gonna be honest with you. The only game that concerns me here is the opening game.
The web slinger.
Logan Webb shoves, but
So
I love Cooper Criswell. I love him, and I really think he's going to step up, and he'll give us 5 innings where we're going to have to turn it over to the bullpen after a day off where we get that much fresher. And if you
You've
start
been
this
spot
series
on
off
with
with a
Coop.
win, yes, Coop's my guy. I mean, a
like
dude
just
that
with his
can't
innings
throw
pitch
100
and same
miles
thing
an
with
hour.
Wink.
He's going to go 5 against Logan. He's going to match him for those 5. Then we're going to have to go to our fresh bullpen where you're probably going to go to a Weissert or a Slayton there in 6 and 7, and then you can hand it over hopefully to a Chris Martin who can bounce back from this day, especially getting a nice little like rejuvenation from Tyler O'Neill in the offense there in the bottom of the 9th. Little, hey, we got you, don't worry. And then you hand it over to Kenley Jansen who threw a 0 tonight. This game, if we can figure out a way to win this one against Logan Webb, this is going to be a sweep. Cutter Crawford's going to bounce back. He's going to come back and have the best sweeper day of his career against the Giants in Game 2 on Wednesday. He's going to go 6 2/3. TBD is going to get shit on, and the Red Sox are going to have a double-digit run game yet again. Game 3, Kyle Harrison. That's tough because it's the first time the Red Sox are seeing this guy. He's a young cat that's been doing well so far this year. He goes relatively deep in the game, 6 innings, 5-6 innings strong. Winkowski's going to need to continue his innings pitch streak of giving us multi-innings, going at least 1+ time through the order. Last time he went out, if I recall, 4. We're going to have to do that.
3.1. I have it right here. 3 innings pitch against the Cubs.
3 innings pitch against the Cubs, and then he had 4 the last time out, if I recall.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to need another similar performance out of him. This concerns me with that middle game. You need Cutter Crawford to give you at least 6. You need him to. You're going to need the bullpen in Game 1 after Coop, and you're going to obviously need it after a Wink Dog open of 3-ish innings. That's a lot to ask for out of our bullpen here. Cutter is the X factor. If we can win that first game, I have a very strong feeling Cutter's going to step up for that 2-0, and Wink Dog and the Red Sox offense are going to do their thing against Youngblood and Harrison. We're going to humble him down a little bit, bring him back to earth, and get a sweep. Yep. You heard it. Break out the brooms. The boys are sweeping. Yes. Sweeping.
You heard that here, folks. A sweep against the Giants. I'm a little bit not more on the opposite side, but a little more conservative here. When I first wrote this down, I wrote 2 out of 3, but that's more of me just thinking this team has a little bit of heart. They're going to grind out 2 out of 3. But like realistically, maybe 1 out of 3. I think the Giants are much better than them, but I'm saying 2 out of 3 here. But then after our conversation of Bailey, I changed my whole tune on it, and I feel much more confident actually about 2 and 3 that that's what's going to happen here. Game 1 makes me the most nervous. Logan Webb. Just some quick little tidbits on him. 19 consecutive scoreless innings. Now, on a down note, he's hot right now. You know what I mean? He just went 8 scoreless against the Mets. What must come down.
Indeed.
Like eventually, like that run's eventually going to end. Nobody's going to be scoreless forever. So maybe it could be the Sox. Webb in his last start against the Mets went 8 innings pitched, 6 hits, 4 Ks, 1 walk. As we know, he's not a huge strikeout guy. He's a pitch to contact guy. He loves using his changeup and his sinker. Changeup is 38% usage, sinker is 34% usage, and his sweeper is 22% usage. So, I mean, this guy has his sinker, which has more down and out break. His changeup is like that. And then he's got a sinker that moves that same way and then pulls a sweeper that goes the other way. Like, I can see why guys struggle to hit this dude because as of right now, with Garret Cole out and Spencer Strider, I feel like he's the best pitcher in baseball right now. And his stuff is just filthy. Yeah. So Tanner's up there, absolutely. But like Logan at least has done it on more success. But now that the top two guys are out, like I think he's probably the best pitcher in baseball right now.
Yeah, he's probably leading the pack if you're looking at futures on a sports book.
That's what I'm thinking. So it just, I don't know, his changeup and sinker combination is going to be tough to figure out, I think. And that's that one game that makes me nervous, especially with like a Koopski, as you call them, starting that game.
Disrespectful for him right now. He's shoving.
No, he is. He's not. He's Koopski.
Logan Webb, side note, is third currently in the Cy Young Award futures at plus 1,000. Zach Wheeler's at plus 300 in front of him. Tyler Glasnow's at plus 500.
Tyler Glasnow, I just don't bet to stay healthy. Zach Wheeler. So I would say Logan Webb and Zach Wheeler actually definitely probably have that top bid for best pitcher right now. But when we have our ace going on the mound, game 2 against TBD, like you said, X Factor, need him to be able to go out and do what he needs to do pretty much. Game 3 makes me a little bit nervous because Kyle Harrison, you've already talked about him a little bit, but he is a top product in that organization. The one thing with him is he can be a bit wild and not really command his pitches. So it's going to be key for the Red Sox to kind of hunt good pitches to hit pretty much. Let him come back in the zone and find something good to hit. And I'm sure Bailey's probably already told him all that.
With that scout right there, it's going to be a Will Jarrett day.
It very well could be. Harrison is also a lefty. That's the other thing that makes me just slightly not nervous, but I feel like we've been hitting lefties actually pretty good this year, despite how many we have in our lineup. And who knows, maybe Garret Cooper's back at this point too, and can actually provide a little lift right there towards that bottom middle of that order. So I don't know. I think a confident 2 out of 3 with the possibility of a 1 out of 3, but I feel confident with 2 out of 3.
I'm staying sweep.
I love it. Honestly, I genuinely do. It's a great pick, and if the boys do sweep, I'll tell you right now, the vibes are going to be high, and that special run I've been talking about, it's coming to fruition.
It will be initiated.
That it will. Yeah. That's pretty much it. You got any closing thoughts here?
Yeah. Red Sox are good. The Giants are too. But the boys are feeling great after a walk-off and a home series win. It's a really good recipe to make a young group that has already started showing signs of playing looser and freer and more confident to jack that shit up times 10 for a series where it's probably going to be one of the more difficult ones in retrospect that we've had so far. This is a new test. This is the next test. Our last one was the Orioles. This is the next one. Go take down a second place team that has a lot of spunk in A-grade pitching. If you do that, this team is for real as for real can get.
I see this. If the Sox sweep, are they going to the playoffs?
I've been saying this. But yeah, absolutely. They're going to the playoffs if they sweep the San Francisco Giants. I have one more closing statement for you.
Hit me. What do you got?
The Red Sox are batting .247 against lefties this year as a team. They have 19 home runs, 74 RBIs, 162 strikeouts. 592 at-bats.
It's a
All
lot
right.
of strikeouts.
Yeah, it's a ton. The Red Sox against right-handed pitching. 246, 123 strikeouts, 17 bombs, 59 RBIs, 100 hits, and 406 at-bats. We've
So
faced
we've
more
actually seen
lefties than
lefties more.
righties.
Interesting.
But it's a pretty mirrored thing. 246
Yeah.
against righties, and we're 247 against lefties. We're tied for 4th against lefties as a team on the year. Okay?
I like
And
that.
we are middle of the
Okay.
pack, tied for 12th against righties.
Okay. That makes you actually feel better about the Kyle Harrison start.
Those were home runs. For batting average, ooh, middle of the pack against righties. Against lefties, the Red Sox are 11th, so they're doing better when you look at the league averages and compare
The
against
pack.
lefties. Yeah,
But
I'll
again,
take
we're
that.
doing that with more lefties in our lineup than probably other teams, obviously. So when they're facing lefties, they have 6 righties in their lineup. I like
It's
that.
crazy to see that they have faced more left-handed pitchers this year than righties.
I mean, if you're a
That's
team,
crazy.
you're hopefully lining up, that your
Yeah,
lefties are
I
going
mean,
to start
back to your
against them.
point. Back to your point of not many starters going like more than 5 these days anymore. You're going more to your bullpen earlier on. You're going to go lefty on left matchup if you have it in the bag as an option. Good point.
The nice thing is I feel like turn their lefties relatively early against the Sox, especially if it's a closer game and stuff like that. So they're throwing their 1-2 lefty, and then maybe he can't pitch the next day, or he's got 2 days off because he goes 2 innings, whatever it is. Now you're either seeing a righty come out of the pen or a less lefty.
And that's a recipe for success.
Amen. My final closing thought. Do you see what that says?
Oklahoma City base get
Do it. Sound it out.
basketball.
That is correct.
Basketball.
Good job.
Basketball.
Good job. We got there.
Oklahoma City basketball.
The reason I bring that to attention, I understand this is a baseball podcast, but Mark Dagnall from Leominster, Mass, just got Coach of the Year in the NBA, and he's the head coach of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Let's go. Clap it up for the man.
Cheer
The hometown kid.
The hometown
kid.
We got the bullet slider whiskeys lined up, ready to roll for you back home.
I love it. There are times where you absolutely molest your mic, and I generally just hear bullet slider whiskey.
It's all good, man. The freaking Riverside will fix that up for us beautifully.
I love it.
It'll sound crisp like a breeze.
Crisp like a burrito.
Shout out to Mexico. I can't wait to get a pregame burrito tomorrow. Oh,
Shout out to Los Tacos in Leominster, the food truck. Best tacos around. Best tacos
I got to
around.
try that next time I'm in Leominster.
Might have to when you come pick up some merch that we end up getting, so keep your eyes out for that.
Oh, yeah, ladies and gents, look out for a little swagoo from the boys, from the fellas, B-Mac and Trotty. We've had some fun working on something for you. We'll be announcing it soon. Stay tuned. Any questions? Don't ask. It's better to be surprised.
And with that, we will see you Thursday after the Giants series.
Godspeed, everybody. Let's get it.
Boom.